Col. John Bubenheim Bayard, the 11th of August 1738 to 7 January 1807, was a merchant, soldier, and statesman from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. He was a delegate for Pennsylvania to the Congress of the Confederation in 1785 and 1786, and later mayor of New Brunswick, New Jersey. Early life. John Bubenheim Bayard was born on the 11th of August 1738 to James Bayard, 1717 to 1780, and Mary Ashton, B.C.A. 1715, at Bohemia Manor on August 11, 1738. His twin brother was James Ashton Bayard, 1738 to 1770. His father, James, was the youngest son of Samuel Bayard, 1675 to 1721, who was born in New Amsterdam, and Susanna Bushell, 1678 to 1750. Bayard was educated at West Nottingham Academy under the tutelage of the Rev. Samuel Finley, who later became the 5th president of Princeton University. Family. Bayard's family were French Huguenots who escaped France through the Netherlands. His two ex-great-grandfather, Samuel Bayard, D.C.A. 1647, the son of the Rev. Balthazar Bayard, married Anne Stuyvesant, the daughter of the Rev. Balthazar Stuyvesant, in the Netherlands in 1638. After Samuel Bayard's death, she brought their 4 children, of which Petrus Bayard, d. 1690, John Bayard's great-grandfather, was the eldest, to New Netherland with her brother Peter Stuyvesant in 1647. In 1698, John Bayard's grandfather, Samuel Bayard, 1675 to 1721, moved to Maryland and established a plantation known as Bohemia Manor in Cecil County, Maryland. It remained the seat of the family for several new generations of the Bayard family. Career. In 1755, John moved to Philadelphia and became a merchant. John entered the business world in the counting room of a merchant, John Rear. He began making his own investments in voyages, prospered, and became one of the leaders in the merchant community. When he joined his own firm, it was named Hedge & Bayard. In 1765 he signed the non-importation agreement in protest of the Stamp Act, even though it hurt his own business. By 1766, he had become one of the leaders of the Philadelphia Sons of Liberty. Revolutionary War. Bayard was elected to the Convention of Pennsylvania in July 1774, and re-elected in 1775. This group was originally the revolutionary counter to the official assembly, but eventually replaced it as the legislature for the new government. When regiments were raised for the defense of Philadelphia in 1775, John became colonel of the 2nd Regiment. In 1776, when the convention had become a constitutional assembly, he was named to the Committee of Safety. In March 1777, he became a member of the state's Board of War, and the Speaker of the Pennsylvania Assembly, and was re-elected in 1778. In the meantime, Hedge & Bayard became one of the firms under contract with the Continental Congress to supply the Continental Army. John himself fitted out a ship sent out as a privateer. But, in the fall of 1777, the British occupied Philadelphia. Bayard moved his family to a farm at Plymouth, and took to the field with his regiment. They fought at the battles of Brandywine, Germantown, and Princeton. John was cited by General Washington for his gallant leadership in the Battle of Princeton. In 1781, Bayard became head of the Board of War, and as such joined the state's Executive Council. Under Pennsylvania's 1776 Constitution, this was a kind of combination of the roles of a governor's cabinet and the state senate. Then in 1785 he was elected to the Congress of the Confederation. the successor of the Continental Congress. He served there in 1785 and 1786, attending their meetings in New York. Later life. By 1788, Bayard had settled most of the debts he had run up during the war. He was forced to sell the estate in Maryland to another branch of the family, and closed down his Philadelphia business. He built a new home in New Brunswick, New Jersey and moved there looking to retire. But in 1790, he was elected mayor of New Brunswick. Then, for many of his remaining years he sat as the judge in the Court of Common Pleas for Middlesex County. He died at home in New Brunswick, New Jersey, on January 7, 1807, and is buried in the First Presbyterian churchyard there. Personal life. In 1759, he married Margaret Hodge, 1740–1780, the daughter of Andrew Hodge, 1711–1789, sister of Andrew Hodge and Hugh Hodge, and the aunt of Rev. Charles Hodge, 1797–1878, in Philadelphia. Before her death in 1780, the couple had a large family, including James Ashton Bayard, 1760–1788, who graduated from Princeton in 1781, and who married to Eliza Rogers, daughter of Dr. John Rogers, a trustee of Princeton from 1765 to 1807. Andrew Bayard, 1762 to 1833, who graduated from Princeton in 1779, and who married the daughter of Col. Charles Pettit. John Murray Bayard, 1766 to 1823, who married Margaret Carrick. Samuel Bayard, 1766 to 1840, who graduated from Princeton in 1784, and who married Martha Pintard, daughter of Louis Pintard and Susan Stockton, sister of Richard Stockton. Jane Bayard, 1772 to 1851, who married Andrew Kirkpatrick, 1756 to 1831. Nicholas Earl Bayard, 1774 to 1821, who married Anna Livingston Bayard, d. 1802, the daughter of Nicholas Bayard, 1736 to 1798, and Catherine Livingston, 1743 to 1775, who was the daughter of Peter Vanbrugh Livingston. In 1798, after her death in 1802, he married Esther McIntosh, the daughter of Jen Lachlan McIntosh and Sarah Threadcraft. Margaret Bayard, 1778 to 1844, who married Samuel Harrison Smith, 1772 to 1845. In 1800, Anna Bayard, 1779 to 1869, who married Samuel Boyd. The household was expanded even further when John's twin brother, James Ashton Bayard I, 1738 to 1770, who was married to his wife's sister, Anne Hodge, died in 1770. Two nephews and a niece were added. John H. Bayard, 1762 to 1820, Jane Bayard, b. 1765, and James Ashton Bayard II, 1767 to 1815, who graduated from Princeton in 1784. In 1781, shortly after the death of his first wife, John remarried to Mary, née Grant, Hodgson, d. 1785, a widow of John Hodgson of South Carolina. After Mary's death in 1785, he married for the third and final time to Johanna White, d. 1834, sister of General Anthony Walton White, 1752–1803, sister-in-law of William Patterson, 1745–1806, and granddaughter of Lewis Morris, 1671–1746. the Chief Justice of New York from 1715 to 1733, and Governor of New Jersey from 1738 to 1746, who survived him and died on June 26, 1834 in New Brunswick, New Jersey. Neither of the later marriages had children who lived. Descendants. Through his eldest son, James Bayard, he was the grandfather of two, James Ashton Bayard and Anthony Walton Bayard, 1737 to 1860. Through his second son, Andrew Bayard, he was the grandfather of six, Sarah Bayard, John Bayard, 1795 to 1869. A founder of the Philomathean Society at the University of Pennsylvania, Elizabeth Bayard, Theodosia Bayard, James Bayard, and Charles Bayard. Through his third son, John Murray Bayard, he was the grandfather of Jane Bayard, who married A. H. Stevens. Through his fourth son, Samuel Bayard, he was the grandfather of seven, Rev. Dr. Louis Pintard Bayard, 1791 to 1840. Susan Bayard, Maria Bayard, Samuel John Bayard, 1801 to 1878, who married Jane Ann Winder Dashiell. The parents of Gen. George Dashiell Bayard, 1835 to 1862. William Marsden Bayard, 1803 to 1863. Juliet Elizabeth Bayard, 1806 to 1865, who married William Augustin Washington II, 1804 to 1830, son of William A. Washington, and Caroline Smith Bayard, 1814 to 1891, who married Albert Baldwin Dodd, 1805 to 1845. Through his fifth child, Jane Bayard Kirkpatrick, he was the grandfather of Mary Ann Kirkpatrick. John Bayard Kirkpatrick, 1795 to 1864. George Littleton Kirkpatrick, 1797 to 1859. Jane Eudora Kirkpatrick, who married Rev. Dr. Jonathan Cogswell in 1837. The parents of Jane Emily Searle Cogswell, who married James Grant Wilson in 1869. Elizabeth Kirkpatrick, Sarah Kirkpatrick, and Charles Kirkpatrick. Through his sixth child, Nicholas Searle Bayard, he was the grandfather to Nicholas James Bayard, 1799 to 1879, who married Sarah Harris, Sarah Glenn, and Eliza Handney King, 1808 to 1883. Jane Bayard, who married Rev. James Leighton Wilson, and Margaret Esther Bayard, who married Rev. James Reed Eckard, the parents of Leighton Wilson Eckard, who married Bessie Schofield. Through his seventh child, Margaret Bayard Smith, he was the grandfather of Julia Smith, Susan Smith, John Bayard Harrison Smith, and Anne Smith. Through his eighth and youngest child, Anna Bayard Boyd, he was the grandfather of Bayard Boyd, 1815 to 1904, who married Monette Lansing, 1817 to 1904, Elizabeth Boyd, Anna Boyd, and Isabella Boyd. See also, List of mayors of New Brunswick, New Jersey. Bayard family. Bayard's congressional biography. John Bayard at Find a Grave.